No, I have to say, it's a really interesting question because, in many ways, I think a lot of us think we know who this man is, or at least we think we know all we need to know. For some people, they were satisfied with the knowledge that he was running against Donald Trump. That's what they cared about. For others, it was the fact that he was from the, shall we say, the sort of center left part of the Democratic Party. He wasn't from the most progressive end of the party. There were a lot of reasons why people sort of put him into certain categories. And I had had this unusual encounter with him actually over the years, which is to say that I came to Washington in 2014, and having lived overseas at that point for a decade. And I was focused on foreign affairs and politics. And so I said, okay, I want to go talk to the people who are doing the most on foreign affairs and national security. And that led me to his office. And what was notable about it was he was not a hard appointment to get because people weren't paying very much attention to Joe Biden. I mean, the reality was that, the vice presidency is considered a kind of second tier job. And he was part of the political furniture. People felt like they knew him. And what I discovered, and to be blunt about it, to tell a bit of story on a bit of embarrassing truth about myself, I didn't particularly know my way around town yet in Washington. I'd barely been here. And all the cool reporters were spending time with others, paying attention to others. But I thought this Biden character seemed quite interesting. And what was really notable to me was once I went and spent time with him, is that he couldn't help himself but to tell you interesting things about American political culture. He's just, as you all know, I mean, he is by his nature sort of improvisational and rather ungoverned in what he chooses to say, not in the same way as Trump. That's a whole different thing. But he just doesn't plot out every syllable. And I'll give you one very good example. In 2014, I was sitting in his office, actually, at the West Wing, and he started talking about how he said the Democratic Party is making a big mistake. It is not recognizing the anger that's boiling up from the working class. And this is before Donald Trump was on the scene. It was before Bernie Sanders had emerged as a political phenomenon. Joe Biden was onto something. He has, after 48 years in politics, a pretty good sense, a fingertip feel for the political mood. And I kept going back and back and back. And that was the beginning of this long-running chronicle, in a sense. And what I concluded by the end, having talked to him about all of these chapters of his life and talked to all the people around him, was that there was, in fact, a much richer story there than we usually would convey in the shorthand political reporting. And it needed a book.